Ignore past Jordan, this is future Jordan showing you the code snippet here. This is literally the one line that makes the proc chance possible. Particularly, well, as you can see, combat 1 equip prices means that, hey, when you win combat, do this thing. And this is basically a 33% chance. You see 2 nothings, which is basically nothing happens. But then the third one is you get the weird substance, which is an item I said I made in perm. So, on to past Jordan we go. But usually, at least in my opinion, you don't talk about art in general. You're talking more about, or you're trying to talk about a specific type of art. Specifically, I know I said that twice, but bear with me here. We get Cthulhu Knight Errant, by the way, because we're not working with battlefields. If the thumbnail didn't already portray it, we are going to be playing Nurse Miku with a very certain weapon and possible things. I didn't actually update this, I should have. But as we get into, for timestamp's sake, we get into Cthulhu Knight Errant Nurse Miku. So this is the thing for today. I did not go do the thing I was supposed to do and show up the curled code snippet. Maybe that'll be a 0.5 episode, but yeah, nothing too special until we get to the weird substance, which has a 33% chance to drop. And because I did not show the code snippet at the very beginning, because it's literally one line, then as we get Strength, Toxicon, Dexterity, Charisma, second mystery, and maybe a second encounter check, then we have to think about it later, or I have to explain it in verbally, as I am right now. But yeah, as we move on, Happy New Year. If I didn't already say it, I think I should have already come out with a video that mentioned it. But as we do this, and I actually use this a bit late, but it's fine. Yeah, let's take a move on. So, without further ado. So in particular, I went diving through a lot of the Ito files given for in the demo folder of the Perm plugin. So there is a lot of stuff that you can work with there, and I don't think I'm using the legacy stuff, but Akamanto Diver, she seashells by the seashore, and then Arms Ward. Funny enough, I think with this, actually Diver is worse, isn't it? Yeah, Diver is worse. So we take Akamanto first so that we can move on to more boss battles afterward, but we do want to prepare anyway. So I could have actually changed this prepare, but the guitar is actually worse than the bandage in my opinion, at least for most cases. So yeah, we're gonna stick with this. Fast Learner is interesting, but not really when I have to take it for 10 Doom. So, with that said, Police Station, don't we have Ward? Do we have Ward? I'm going crazy now. I just talked about the I have Arms, another boss mystery, and I forgot. Well, if we do have Ward, I'll just eat it in the face. But otherwise, Dexterity weapon here, by the way, so I think on Harbinger, I barely don't get to prep attack on average. If we're on a random item stat run, it gets a little different, but for the moment, just basically know that I have to put another point in Dexterity, or Dexterity has to be 4, so I can prep attack with this syringe weapon. The syringe weapon is a perm item. Especially because, again, there are lines of code that you can use, and I used one where basically if you win after combat, I think by defeating an enemy, yeah, there's a 33% chance that you get a weird substance, which is another perm item that I made. Funny enough, if I didn't, so I was talking about art before the timestamp, and to talk about it now as we take this one stamina damage to the face, different. Usually, you want to specify what kind of art. Whether it's architecture, I consider that a form of art. Whether it's paintings, whether it's graffiti, and then in this case, more pixel art. Yeah, it took me about around an hour to get the syringe and the weird substance, which are both items in World of Horror. Just I took some liberty to change what they look like and flip the things around, orientation and whatnot, but. If I had to do it from scratch, it'd probably take me 2 to 3 hours minimum. And this is not a flex, by the way. This is actually like I should be faster, but I don't have much experience in the world of art, so I have to do the best of what I've got. Now that being said, I do have more experience with working with pixel art in the World of Horror style, but I do think it does improve. Oh my goodness, nice 95% miss, by the way. It does help with. Hold on, I need to think for a moment because I just realized how bad of a situation this might be. I'm just going to roll on this. If we don't hit this, sadness. If we do, we get to save stamina. Hooray! But, I don't think... Yeah, it would have appeared right when the battle won. In fact, we can actually take the Demon Mask now. The unfortunate part about this is that, although this is better for me because the syringe is a faster weapon, yeah, it's... the weird substance lowers my max stamina by 1. Let's just say it right now. In case I never get it, because 33%. But, yeah, it would take me about 3 to 4 hours to start from scratch, plus another hour if I have to reference things in real life, so just so I can try to turn it into pixel art and or World of Horror form, so shrug. But as we sit here and I realize I now have to take 3 stamina damage as well, I think we can one-shot this. We need the brick, though. Yeah, we need the brick. We also probably need the branch, so we're going to take both of these out. I don't want an Inspiring Novel. Let me just do some calculation. Yeah, 4 damage, or actually 9, if I do Desperate Prep Strong. I think I can Desperate Prep Strong. 9 damage. We should be able to one-shot Takshisan with Handcuff Tech, but let's find out. So, yeah, let's try to do this. Now, should I probably proc this syringe into Weird Substance on Ghost? Maybe not, but for now, Ghosts do a lot of things. There's a lot of consideration for Ghosts. You don't need to consider Ghost encounters with, like, you know, things that proc off of attacks. Whether winning combat, I think there are a few. There's a whole plethora of things you could do, but escaping from combat, I think, is a specific thing that you can do. But you don't have to if you don't want to. Also, that's right, we are on Knight Errant, but doesn't really matter. The Crestfallen Mask will prove its worth. We also did not get a substance, but hey. Now, I'm curious as to see what winning a battle specifically means to World of Horror or the Perm plugin, or both, really, because we do have Ward, by the way. That makes me sad. Yeah, because there are certain battles. There's not a lot of them. Probably like 4 to 5 battles at most, in which you can win, but the game might not treat it as a win, or you escape, but the game might not treat it as an escape. An example of this is Ward, which is what we're gonna take soon. If you escape from that combat, you would think it's an escape, but I can see how it might be treated as a victory. This is not like a bug on the game or Perm plugin or anything's part. It's just what I'm. It's basically a food for thought that I can think about. Probably should have taken more funds. Probably should have even looked at the ally there, but I think we'll be fine. But yeah, there are very specific things that happen in World of Horror that make me wonder if that might need to go through playtesting just to make sure things are perfect. Again, as long as the game doesn't crash, like you're missing a graphic and the game crashes, you code something wrong and the game crashes, then you should be relatively okay. Just little tweaks needed here and there. Now, obviously, it can get repetitive or redundant for some. Not me particular, I'm not saying this for me, but I know it can be kind of it could be a lot to just, you know, update small things over and over, especially depending on where you're uploading to, or updating your updating whatever you need to update, really. Also, I'm just trying to figure out, have I fought this enemy before? I don't think so. These count as human enemies, which is funny to think about in a certain immersive sense. What's not funny is the fact that I missed the 90%. This isn't the day. I'm just going to gamble on 70%. We missed 95. I want to put this in perspective. We missed 95% into 90% into 70%. That's... They were all separated cases, but that's why we're going to do another run. I swear it's not because I'm trying to force you to see the weird substance, but we get Azul Exquisite Taste, so... And we will need Exquisite Taste for this weird substance use. But, let's see here. Weird substance in the game. I'm not saying something... You know, what the funny thing is that if you put on, like, closed captions, you can get a lot of funny... You normally get a lot of funny things being closed captioned. By the way, what were we on? Exquisite Taste. And yeah, well, away we go. What were we? What god? I'm going completely crazy right now. I'm just gonna say Goizo, and off we go. So it was not Goizo, I'm pretty sure about that. But we're in the run now, and it's too late. So off we go with the syringe, and off we go with our lives. Charisma, light, second mystery, second encounter, strength, maybe a dexterity check. Would be nice to get 8 strength. We are Miku, and we have Mayhem available, maybe. But... that being said, if we have Ward, so be it. Monument is usually the more consistent, or it's the more consistent pick in my opinion. But let's grab our funds, put on our Teehee bandage, and move on. So, what do we have today? Well, we're using the same custom mysteries, but whether or not we'll do the same custom mysteries is the next question. Botanist, Ramen, Seashells, Vigil, Diver again. So, but you know what? Not really much changed. Because I'm gonna do a little different thing here. This is a Miku specific strat, but you can take Vigil immediately and fail the Vigil, or wait for the Vigil depending on what the Vigil is. So I'll mention this. I'll let you know in a moment when I grab the pamphlet. Especially when you start with a weapon in this case, but as Miku, you don't need to. By the way, this is gonna be a no-go. I see 35 HP, -2 all. We're getting out of here. So yeah, if we look at this Vigil pamphlet, if you see the letter, you can choose to do the Vigil until the letter, but if we don't and we get the plant instead, we're just going to just fail the Vigil immediately so we can fight as many guests as possible. I think you have to fail all of these steps to, well, not all of the steps, quote unquote, but you definitely can't get to 2 a.m. and then fail the Vigil, because otherwise you won't fight the 2 guests. I'd say as I failed the Vigil. Oh, I've already failed because I didn't do the thing. So I wonder if we're going to fight 2 guests. Let's find out. I don't often do this, but it is something to do. It's kind of important if you want experience. And then it costs Doom now that, funny enough, so it's indirectly everything. For every other character, it's bad to get Doom here. But if you need experience, or you're Miku in this case, because Doom equals Mayhem equals stats, then you can just proceed to fight these enemies, because they grant you, I think, like 15 experience, if I recall correctly. Yeah, so that's... And those encounters are relatively easy, so... And we can cut the plant down. So yeah, we can fail immediately and then cut the plant to save on Doom, and we'll overall get more experience, if nothing else. Yeah, I know I just said I wanted Doom as Miku, but... Shrug. Also, we did not get a single weird substance yet, 33%, which is weird. I can't swear that I did, because I just did it, so there's no need to swear. But I did test this beforehand, and I did one encounter. My very first encounter, I got weird substance. Now it doesn't want to give me it, but so yeah, as soon as you hit the resolve button, you get the weird substance. And this, on the other hand, so -1 max stamina. I forget how characters are quoted in this game. But you get +2 stamina, basically +2 all, but you lose -1 max stamina. And if you inspect it, well, yeah, is what it is. And you'll notice, I think this is the pain medication item that I've basically modified. This my what's it called, vanishing point perspective skills are a little off, but anywho, I'm sure there's a trick. I didn't want to look into any tricks because I just want to make something quickly, just so that it serves its use, because basically everything I'm doing right now up to like episode 20 of this series is all to create a mystery, so shrug. But as we move on here, what do we want to do? We definitely want to do Diver at some point. I think Seashells doesn't have a boss. I guess we're gonna find out. The other 2 don't really have bosses anyway, so, or not guaranteed to have a boss if nothing else. I do need you need to use this police station, and we're in Seashells. I think we have at least 3 seaside investigations, so off we go. But yeah, everything I do for the Perm plugin at this moment is basically in preparation. I might not use everything because maybe I changed my mind, but basically slowly getting into making a mystery. And again, art is the biggest it's the biggest time sink that I have to. It's the biggest time sink. Yeah. So and which sounds weird. Like, some people, I'm sure some people out there might be going, well, Jordan, isn't art usually going to take the longest anyway? But I think there's more than a few, at least individuals, you don't have to be an artist, that where making CGs, at least in Roll of Horror, if nothing else, is going to be a lot faster than going through and trying to code a mystery, or write for a mystery, or do anything you want, really. So we'll grab first aid. So it's kind of odd. So basically this character with this syringe weird substance mechanic would have a lot of healing. But again, that there are still weak points of the character. If nothing else, events, the early start just being Miku, meaning you have lower stats, does hurt you overall. If you run into a big -2 all enemy at the very beginning of your run as this Miku, then you end up just taking a lot more damage, and you don't have first aid, you don't have a lot of stuff pain. Also, this seaside is still at max threat level, so that's making me very sad. I just got 3 Doom out of nowhere, but anywho, it wasn't out of nowhere. It was max threat level plus something else, but we'll deal. But yeah, slowly making a mystery, and again, it's really just for one character, which it's a lot of work for one character, but I think it's good work. So, shrug, we'll see. Why am I getting 3 Doom in particular? I'm seeing the number update like twice in one. Is it Innsmouth look? It's Innsmouth look. So it's Innsmouth look plus the max threat level plus just regular investigation. Yeah, that would make sense. Because regular investigation is 1 Doom, max threat level is another Doom, and then Seaside proc is an extra Doom. That's why I see it updating twice, because it updates once for 2 Doom and probably updates again for 1 Doom, or in some order, basically. That being said, yeah, police patrols here really where did my threat level increase from? Anywho, the funny part about this is that, yeah, this Doom is still helping me a lot more than usual, because we're going into our third mystery with about 40% Doom. I'd want to be around this as Miku, probably even earlier, but right now is okay too, just so that at least Miku gets her stat increases. Now, what I'm scared of is that, yeah, this is going to be doing a lot of damage, but it's fine. Also, with the Perm plugin, Miku will have Adrenaline. Without it, I'd either have to give her Adrenaline, which is very, very, very powerful, and I didn't want to do that, or yeah, not really much else. I forgot if you can give perks in custom events without the Perm plugin in a normal way. But anywho, can we take this in the face? I'm gonna throw the Meat Cleaver anyway. We'd have to use the Weird Substance, and I guess we would. If we don't hit all 3 of these, we'll use it. If we do, might be able to brace into a Reason trade here. Yeah. So we can do this and then trade 2 Reason for 1 Stamina. Now, the problem is I'd have to gamble a lot on the next turn, but that might be fine. We can do it again, but yeah, because then we just need to hit 2 of these. This would be 12 damage, I believe. So, yep, off we go. To note here, especially if I just give a character a perm item or weapon, I don't want you to be able to throw it away. You can probably store it, that makes sense. I can also just discard this, but I don't want to do that either. But really, that's on the player anyway. We get another Weird Substance. So basically, we have Weird Substance uses available in the game. Please don't hurt me, robots. I know this sounds really, really paranoia-like, but I promise you, with the way the current outlook of the internet is, oh boy, I don't want to risk it. So, yeah, Ramen Botanist left, and I'd rather take Ramen last. Do we have roads closed, by the way? We have Fetid Fumes, that's not great. So, yeah, Weird Substance is going to help us immensely here. Overall, Seren's Weird Substance, I think, is a net positive by a long shot, like 20% more than 50% averages, so... but yeah, obviously completely unuseful, or at least Weird Substances completely unuseful on Eldritch Parasite is the main example. There are a few other cases, but I'm not thinking about it at the moment because I'm just trying to survive. So, off we go. But otherwise, again, let me know if you have any interesting ideas. I'm pretty sure a lot of things are possible. In fact, I was skimming through what is available through the Perm items, whether they're made by the creator of Perm themselves or by Haspin in particular, because that's the name drop literally. I think I do want to use these. So I think I don't want to throw this, but that's unfortunate. I think I left that on because I was basically copy pasting off another Ito file. But we get close, 12 damage. I could brace here. We could also do this. Gamble on... This would be 15 damage. Let's find out. 6 into 9, right? Yeah, 6 into 9. Bottle of Blood. You don't want to drink this, though. And it's the sludge that you throw. So instead, yeah, we'll just sell this. And move on. And I forgot what I was talking about. But yeah, there's... Oh, yeah. That's what I was talking about. I didn't mean to trade stamina there. But... So, yeah. Going through the Ito files, I found out... basically, someone did think of the same thing I thought of. Which was basically proccing crits, but I wanted to proc crits off of something different, so that's a little different. And also basically change the proc rate. You can still do that, but it'd be very long if statement uses, if not other functions that I have yet to look into. But you get the point. It is a process that you'd go through. You can't really make the crit stat because that stat doesn't exist. It would be interesting if it existed, but you can kind of do a pseudo version of that here and there. In fact, you could probably, if I were to just let's brainstorm right now. Nothing's happening on screen at the moment, but so you would make basically a crit variable. You probably want to assign either an item or a spell or an event even to assign this variable. But then you want to use a weapon because base World of Horror items don't have any inbuilt like functions in them, ways to basically scan or use the, say, let's call the variable, so from now on, crit chance X, the crit chance X variable. So if your crit chance X is set, no base World of Horror items use this. So you would need to make an item or a spell or something with the perm plugin that allows this, because the perm plugin is what allows you to make variables in the first place. We finally get adrenaline, by the way. So yeah, after that, then you can start working with this variable. Or you can just make events where things happen as well. If you don't want to work with any items and spells at all, it's a bit tricky, but you can, if you're setting up enemies instead that can be crit, kind of, then you can theoretically make an enemy. I didn't look into a lot of enemy Ito files, but you can at least, like, say, even if it's not crit through attacks, you can say, oh, you're going through events and you're critting off after succeeding a strength check in an event, which hurts an enemy before you enter the encounter. Something really simple like that. That's not what you're normally thinking about with critical attacks or crit chance, but again, the probably more feasible way, we gotta run from this, by the way, would be to make a weapon like the syringe, and then whenever it attacks or does a strong attack, or maybe you just want to do both or just certain actions, you basically call upon this variable and you do a lot of if statements. That's my band-aid fix for the moment. You can there are probably more sophisticated functions that can handle that for you, but at the moment, this is what you can do. And if I didn't already show that off in some way, shape, or form, or implied through previous episodes, then just believe me when I say it's possible. And if you don't know programming at all, then definitely believe me when I say it's possible. But as we enter this lighthouse, we don't really need to worry. We should be able to just survive no matter what. And up we go. Now, if we just get a bunch of doom here, I will be a bit sad, because I think Innsmouth's Look can proc here, because this counts as a seaside investigation for whatever reason. I mean, I say that as if I'm making fun of something. I'm not. It's just, you were at the lighthouse, and I guess it is at the seaside. So you know what? Seashells by the seashore. I think we actually took... we took Vigil first into Diver... Seashells. I'm thinking of the previous run. I'm going absolutely insane. Anyway, 22-minute video. Not really much else to say. I don't have any clue what this enemy would have been. And yeah, not really much else to say. If you have anything to say, any questions, comments, concerns, welcome to the first video of the new year, at least from the time I'm recording. And I will see you when I see you. Not going to take much more of your time. Thank you for watching. Bye!